Welcome to Console Room 2024. Please welcome our guest for this panel, Ben Ellis.
Hello! Well, here we are at the end, but we're going to make it an epic ending. So, all right. So, my guest this time has worn many faces in Doctor Who. He's been a Dalek. He's been an Ood. He's been a unit soldier and a Cyberman. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jon Davey.
Woohoo! Oh, thank you for turning up. Thank you very much indeed. So, we've got a little viewing of Power of the Doctor. It's not the full thing because we haven't got time for it, but I've basically chopped down all the scenes that I appeared in. Me.
Well, at least we know. Well, at least we know it's you then.
Yes, exactly. It was amazing filming this episode. It was kind of quite a roller coaster because it, obviously for those who've seen it, it went full on and it was in so many different locations, so many different characters. And I was very fortunate to have appeared as 5 different characters. And my friend Lauren, who was the second assistant director, I basically said to her, because she was like, "Oh, are you available for these dates?" And then the dates changed, and I said, "Look, Lauren," I said, "I won't take any other work for the next month, and I'll be available for you to call me, and I'll do whatever you want me to." So I did get thrown a few bones because it was like, "Are you available tomorrow as a unit soldier?" I was like, "Of course I am." But it was an amazing experience, and basically I will just talk about the scenes and what we did, and Ben can ask me questions as we are watching it. So let's get on with it. So the space train scene, interestingly enough, the Cybermen on the space train was actually the very last thing we actually filmed. They filmed everything else, but the Cybermen stomping and marching on the space train was literally it was actually the day after we wrapped. So basically this scene here, in theory, we jump through the hole, which I don't think you actually see us jumping through the hole. You just see us appearing. There we are. This was kind of interesting to shoot because this little carriage was tiny. And there was, including all of the cast and all of us and all of the crew, there was about 25 people in this tiny little room. The windows actually had video screens all the way down the sides. So it was physically playing all of the lights whooshing past. Which was good.
So it wasn't green screen then?
No, it wasn't green screen, no. And that actor there, Joe Sims, he was in Broadchurch. And he's from my hometown of Bristol. And he sounds very much like this when he speaks. There's us Cybermen regenerating. We were very happy that we actually got to lie down dead because it was so
You
hot.
don't do that too often, do you?
No.
Now, I want to ask you with that Cyberman, because you were one of the very first Cybermen Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel. Was it heavier or lighter?
It was much lighter. The first suits weighed 60 pounds. They were made out of fiberglass. These ones were very lightweight. There I am, the Cyber Leader Master, the one with the gold ruff. And there's one with the silver kind of ruff around his head, which is my friend Simon. I think all of this stuff that they filmed near the start of the shoot. And then literally the very last shot on top of the space train was the final thing. So when we were in the studio, we saw all the storyboards for all of this stuff that they've already done. And it was, it was good fun. There was, to be honest, the amount that they filmed of us on the space train compared to what you see on screen is a little bit disappointing.
Was it just a one-day shoot on the train?
Yeah, or literally an afternoon shoot.
Okay.
There were two stuntmen who were on wires who basically, when the gravity goes, pulls up us or pull them up, but us in the background, we kind of just had to go like this on one foot, which was kind of fun. So yeah, the wide shot is a wide shot of us. Oh, we did so many cool close-ups, but
They didn't make it in the episode, unfortunately.
no, it's all to do with time. So obviously we're also there underneath. Oh, look at me. I'm being dastardly and electrocuting people.
Now, when shots go off on stage, is that like a? Do they go off like a? Sorry, they go off like a gunshot.
I think all of that was all done in post-production.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a cool shot where the
Oh,
camera
heck
comes
yeah.
out the window. So they actually had the camera on the outside, and then they then blended this in with our marching. Yeah, so that looks super cool. Come on, where's our close-ups?
You know, it's like the show's about Jodie or something.
Yeah, I suppose it is called Doctor Who.
Yeah. Although the spin-off Cybermen close-up is coming pretty soon. No.
There we go. There's our little floating around. I think all of these Earthside men floating past are all CGI. It couldn't quite get us doing that. But that was pretty good fun. But again, this was probably one of the hottest times in the summer, and the studios aren't air-conditioned because air conditioning is bad for the environment, apparently. However, if you actually go to the back of the studios, there's a whole bank of air conditioners, but they're used for the offices. So,
Well then.
so there we are again, blasting our way into the room. Open it. There's Nick Briggs's voice that was being played live. And
Now, do you say the line and then Nick's voice obviously gets broadcast during the trend? Do you say the line on set?
His are already pre-recorded and then played on like a speaker. So we kind of know what's going on.
Okay.
But yeah, it was an incredible set, and having the physical panels down the windows as well really added to the effect.
Agreed.
I love John Bishop; he's great.
Do a lot of the other actors socialize with like the stuntmen?
Sorry?
Did like Jodie and Mandeep and the other guy socialize with you guys a lot on set, or do they kind of keep to themselves?
A little bit, but they're generally very busy, so we don't want to kind of bother them too much.
Yeah.
So I had a little conversation here with Jodie, whilst the other guys in the background are cutting open the mystery box.
The mystery box.
So we didn't really know what was in the box. What's in the box? And it was a young boy. Oh. Oh no, I'm the child snatcher.
I apologize. Is stuntman the proper term for what you do?
Not what we do. The nickname is Stunties
Stunties. Okay.
for people who do stunts. We're creature performers.
Oh, thank you.
guess.
Creature performers.
So the Cyber Planet, this was all in a quarry in Wales, believe it or not.
Now, we've been talking a lot about quarries this weekend. Was it hotter or colder?
It was just right. It was the Goldilocks quarry.
Oh.
So what was interesting about this, in the script, it was written, all the Cybermen appear by the TARDIS. I have this big monologue, then we start shooting at the Doctor, and it's kind of like, well, hang on a minute. If we wanted to shoot at the Doctor, we would have done that instead of all this monologuing. So Jamie, the director, he saw this giant pile of gravel, which I appeared here, and he was like, "Oh, it'd be cool if you just appear on your own, and then you do your monologue, and then all the other Cybermen enter." And Jamie was great because he didn't really give us a lot of direction, and there was one thing that I wanted to sneak in, and I've been wanting to do this for years, and it was a little homage to David Banks' Cybermen from the 80s. And here it comes, my little homage. Excellent. So that was not written in the script, but I just thought, when I say your master awaits, that was a good cue to cue in the other Cybermen. So I snuck it in there.
Perfect. I recognize that too. I was like, oh, it's a David Banks reference.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
good. That's the reason why I did it, for the fans. No, that's Nick Briggs, and he's already pre-recorded it. The lecture theatre scene was this was in Cardiff in a theatre where they actually perform. It's a small community theatre, and I didn't know I was going to be a unit soldier here. And then the night before, they said, "Oh, can you be a unit soldier?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure." So a whole bunch of us turned up, which is quite interesting. And you had all of these tiny little miniature shrunken figures. You probably don't see really how many there were. And I felt so sorry for the props people because everybody kept on standing on them.
Oh, no.
Kept on squishing them. So this was a pretty cool scene to do. And I got a very nice close-up. Me and my other friend, Gareth, we basically come up to the master and arrest him. And normally, as a unit soldier, you're stood there and you're not really doing anything. You're just looking gormless. So I kind of thought, well, he's trying to destroy the world and we're very angry. But unfortunately, I go full-on theatre face in a close-up. They didn't tell me not to do it, but when you do briefly see me, I'm chewing the scenery with my face. So here we come in, I think. Nope, a bit more suspense. So this was when it slightly got leaked that the master was in it, because somebody photographed someone walking out of this venue with a box saying "Master's Props." I feel so sorry for the guy holding that box because it wasn't his fault. And they had like a big tent built on the front. So here we are coming in, and there's me. And then look at this face acting going on. I'm on the left. Look at that face.
You definitely are chewing the scenery there.
You know now why they put a mask on me, don't you? Why I order.
Kind of looks like Homer Simpson a little bit too.
I think I was trying to do a Judge Dredd. So this was, this was a fun little addition to the day that I didn't know I was going to do. So Gareth, who was with me, he also plays the Cybermen as well. So, I wonder what the next scene is. There we go. So this was a huge office that had just been refurbished. And I did know that Ace and Tegan were going to be in it because I did see the script beforehand. And then Patrick, who's the lone Cyberman, he was there. And it was a pretty cool effect, this kind of like Russian doll marching out. So basically Patrick had to stand in a certain place. He then came out the way, and then we had to walk behind and then peel off and then go into formation. But unfortunately, I think we got our shooting skills from stormtroopers because we didn't seem to really be able to hit a lot. But yeah, this is such a cool effect.
Agreed.
That's me there. No, I come through second. So this was really cool. We had squibs on us that were exploding as well. Gold bullets don't work anymore. Again, out of character for South Wales. This was extremely warm. This
Was
this
it shot
day.
in the summer or when was it shot?
This was right in the middle of summer.
Ooh.
Yeah, a whole load of marching up those spiral stairs, which was pretty tricky. Cut to this scene where I played one of the Daleks. This was in the Welsh National Showcase, and originally it was supposed to actually be on an oil rig, I believe.
Yeah, I read that. It was,
Yeah.
But something got destroyed.
They lost the location.
Oh, that's right.
That's the
Never
technical word. So basically, it all had to be rewritten that we were under a volcano. They did an amazing job of putting the lava in, which it is actually like a little stream, and then they basically threw a load of lights down in this stream, and the visual effects did an amazing job of putting the lava in there. So I'm on the back on the right. Mind you, it was quite tricky manoeuvring those Daleks around the concrete because it was very unstable.
Did you have to move very slowly when you were?
Yeah, and when the edge of the Dalek rubbed on the floor, the echo just went on forever. And again, this set was amazing. Literally, this is in the BBC studios. They built this set. The floor was fantastic. I think it was basically just like linoleum, but I think they'd screen printed that pattern on there. Yeah, it would be lovely to get a piece of that floor. So obviously I witnessed the Rasputin dance before everybody else, which was kind of quite hilarious. They did shoot it multiple times from multiple different angles, and Sasha mixed it up, put it that way. So in the edit, obviously for editing reasons, there isn't a lot of it, but if you ever saw like Sasha's kind of full go on it, it's kind of hilarious. There was a lot of like hip thrusting and a lot of like Cossack dancing moves going on. But for us, this is actually one of the hardest things to do, just standing still, doing nothing, because your entire body is rigid and you're tensing, and it is thoroughly exhausting. Whenever we're moving around, that's not too bad, but standing still is quite exhausting. So we were quite happy when they said, "Oh, well, you end up shooting yourself. Are you okay lying on the floor?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, please." And also, as well, if you watched it, I thought, well, if I'm going to lie on the floor, I kind of want to do something a bit different. So I died with my kind of hand like this up in the air. So if you watch it, I think there's like a shot following Sasha, and you just see this hand just like up in the air. There was a whole bunch of stuff as well that was shot and didn't make the edit. So there's a really cool bit where I don't think Sasha actually reveals himself. So Jodie is sat in the middle, and then you see a Cyberman, and then you see Sasha's fingers come up over the top of the Cyberman, and he kind of pokes his head out from behind, which looked incredible, but you know, it's all down to pacing at the end of the day, whether things stay in or not. The Master's Dalek plan.
I like this song.
Oh my God, I used to have that cellular phone, that old Nokia. Come on, you want more Sasha dancing? And this was good fun. This little gag of the Cybermen and the Daleks. So this was, oh my God, talk about hot. This was a cellar underneath a nightclub, I believe. Mm-hmm. Or what was a nightclub. So there's us electrocuting somebody. And again, yeah, this was in the height of summer. This was absolutely stifling hot. No air whatsoever.
Oh.
I think this location has been used for so many different things. You probably look back over loads of stuff over the years, and you'll be like, I recognize that location. So this is pretty cool. We physically had to kick that fake door down, which is kind of hairy, because obviously you're not wanting to be the one to get it wrong. Mm-hmm. Again, a lot of us stood doing nothing for long periods of time.
Do you ever get tempted to itch your nose in a situation like that?
A few times you'd get sweat rolling down. Then if you get it in your eye, you'd be like, oh. So you kind of be like gurning under the helmet. And interestingly enough, the place where we got changed and we were sat before we were filming was the bank that Sally Sparrow goes in Blink.
Okay.
Or the location, which has been, again, it's been used for a whole load of stuff in Doctor Who. Mount Pleasant Square in Cardiff, literally there's about 10 different locations, all within about a 1 minute walk.
Okay.
So marching Gemma off there. Again, going down these spiral stairs was rather tricky.
Because you have to look ahead, I suppose.
Sorry?
Because you have to look ahead when you're going down.
Yeah, you can't look at your feet. So it is a case of throwing your foot out in front of you and then pulling it back until you actually find the tread. And then me and Simon Carew, we did this little bit here where we had to shoot down at Janet. Again, it's like, so there's Patrick. There's one of our arms. There you go. Blink and you'll miss us. Also, I think we cheated the Cybermen because they were filming one way, so we were all lined up one way, and then when he shot the other way, there wasn't quite enough of us. There was a nice little shot of my cape, which is absolutely beautiful, but you hardly see it. It's beautifully embroidered, and there's a gold logo on the back. But the front end of a Cyberman's a bit nicer to look at than the back end. So this is our rest time. So I think you can see me there with my arm.
I was trying to see the arm,
the hand. And I think when Sasha crawls off, you'll just see my hand acting, which is slightly better than my face acting. think that again there was a whole load of other things filmed, which unfortunately doesn't make the cut. There you go. There's my hand. Yeah. Hello. That set would have been amazing just to take home and just do out your house.
I like it. You said earlier, I love the flooring, the design of the flooring.
Yeah, when we were filming this, we were very confused with what was going on in these chambers. That was actually a physical set. There was a tiny little piece of ground with this telephone pole, which was actually in the same set as where we did the cyber train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And funny enough, I saw Colin when we were filming with the scene that's coming up, and Colin, basically they wrapped on set, and then Colin walked past. I didn't have my head on, and Colin was like, "Oh, John, how's it going?" And he came up and he was chatting to me, and then like a whole bunch of the crew were like looking at me, going like, "What?" And me and Colin are old mates. So the master that slumped over it isn't Sasha. They had a body double for him, which is kind of quite weird because you saw these two people that looked identical. So there we are, marching back into the cyber conversion chamber. Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
That's me and Simon popping Gemma into the chair. And then using these things that look suspiciously like those kind of articulated arm things, which probably are, that are used for everything. So, yeah, this was interesting. So this was built in a little set. So this scene is where the Cyberman punches through the wall, which was me, except for it's the last shot of the day. It was very hurried, and nobody really told me exactly where Janet was going to be when I punched through the wall, and I didn't know where my fist was coming through the wall. So I insisted that they poked a tiny, there you go, punching through the wall. And the last thing I want to do is end up punching Janet in the back of the head. I'd never hear the last of it. But that was such a fun, cool little thing to do. And then again, there was a load of shots of all of the Cybermen all freaking out and then falling to the ground, which was really hard work, and most of it's not on camera. Well done, Janet.
Was there something additional you wanted us to see too?
Yes. So I've got a few photos. People here yesterday. I actually added them on to yesterday, but there's just a few photos and a few behind-the-scenes photos. So that was us in the quarry there. Me doing my full-on David Banks excellent fist, and again that was how high up I was over the doctor. And there I am, giving the fist.
And you meddling kids, get off my lawn.
Yeah, why I oughta. So obviously you can see what the quarry looks like itself, and digitally they just built up the extra on the top. But obviously the TARDIS and all the rocks was real, and that was the reverse angle with the camera behind myself. and that was us dying in. It was just a lovely picture of that floor that they made. Which was very nice, and you can see me there, sort of to the right of Joe Martin.
Are you the one with your right arm up?
Well, there's someone closer that's kind of done the same thing as me, and then you can see that other Cyberman on the top right that's basically just gone full snow angel. So it's kind of funny, just like looking at the positions that everyone decided to take, and then Simon, who was the cyber deputy, for some reason looks like he's got his cloak. No, he's face down, isn't he? Yeah, he's face down. So that's kind of funny. There you go. So that's what we're doing when we're not on set. We're just sat outside getting a bit of fresh air. And you can see how beautiful these costumes are, designed by Ray Holman, and Rob Alsop manufactured them, and that headpiece there just beautifully laser cut. Mm-hmm. You did have to watch door frames, because if you got too close, you'd get this big dong noise. These were much better than the original Cybermen. The costumes were a lot more flexible. So yeah, there's me hanging out, showing off, being very nonchalant. And there's that face again. Well, Sasha was chewing the scenery a bit as well, so I thought I'd get in on the on the act.
Why not?
Yes. And there we all are with Patrick. So interestingly enough, even though we're wearing the same costumes, you can generally recognise who's playing what, because we're all slightly different heights and slightly different builds. So there's me front left, Simon Carew front right, then Matt Doman behind me because he's about an inch taller than everybody else. And then I think Mickey is behind him, and then it'll be Andrew Cross, and they're going to kill me. I can't remember I think it was Richard Price actually that played the next one. And there we are again, marching her off to her doom. And I wonder who's got that chair. It'd be a pretty cool addition to have to your living room.
Yes. Kind of reminds me of the dentist chair.
Look at this boy band photograph. So this was us hanging out. So there's Simon Carew's closest to the camera, Tim Dane Reed in the middle playing a unit soldier. And you could probably tell by possibly the amount of veins popping out of our heads that it was a very hot day, and wearing those collars as well kind of raised the blood pressure a little bit. And then the Daleks in the National Show Cave, and there's the cave. So as you can see,
oh wow,
the lava stream was a real stream, but it was a water stream. But they did an amazing job lighting it in there. And famously, obviously, this is where Ace smashes the Dalek eye stalk with the baseball bat, which when I saw this coming up, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so cool. And then it was about a year before it got broadcast. So I kind of, if I met anyone within that year, I knew all about that, and obviously had to keep it quiet. And there, that's Janet struggling with my arm. And then I've got a little video. People who were here yesterday would have seen it, but basically, I don't even know who filmed it, but somebody managed to film the reverse of this twice. One of me punching through the wall, and then also filming the director's monitor. So, and then they sent it to me. And to be honest, at the end of the day, I was so exhausted and tired. The next day, I couldn't even remember actually who sent these videos. So this was actually behind that set, and they basically made a breakaway panel that I could punch through. And it was the last shot of the day. They did say, if if something goes wrong, don't worry, we can replace the whole wall and film it again. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be the one responsible for creating a huge amount of work. So you can basically see me before I punch through, just literally just getting my muscle memory in place to make sure that I do punch through at the right time. The suspense. Yeah, so there you have it. It's very undramatic from this side of the wall. And yeah, they said they wanted me to put my helmet on just in case they saw my head. So yeah, I was sweating buckets doing this. And then literally it was like, well, just punch through the wall and grab Janet. And I'm like, I can't see anything. Okay, here goes. But yeah, luckily it all worked well, and it looks great on camera. So here's a fun little photo. So this was from the wrap party, and as you can see, look at the bags under my eyes. So that was a month's worth of filming. So it was a glamour stroke fancy dress wrap party, and bizarrely, me and Simon actually came dressed as each other. And then Jamie Magdison Stone, he borrowed Jodie's outfit. Strangely enough, that's his normal hair. So he got dressed as Jodie. Janet got dressed as John Nathan Turner. And what did Sophie get dressed as? It's something Doctor Who related. She's got something on with some fur, so I don't know what that related to. But they had a photo booth there, so it was super cool that we took this picture and had this wonderful, wonderful memory from our time on set.
Nice.
Oh, is it? Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, but sorry, my memory doesn't go back that far. Yes. A blooper reel. Well, I would have had a blooper reel if that punching through the wall with Janet went wrong. Oh, I did. Oh, damn! I haven't got that one on this. But yeah.
Was there a cyber?
My dear friends, for those who do not have a mic in your hand, if you could please walk up to the mic in the center of the room and use it so that our online audience can also hear you, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, I tell you what. Let me do a Sylvester.
John's going to do a Sylvester now.
Right. And see, this is going to be embarrassing. I'm going to jump down here and no one's going to stick their hand up now. Yes.
So since you couldn't see, you didn't know where you were grabbing Janet?
Well, no, and you can kind of see where my hand ends up. You know what? You're the first person who's actually noticed that. No. I couldn't, all I could feel was that there was something there. So when my fist went through and I went like that, then, yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. Because I was so embarrassed after we actually filmed that. I know, it's in my brain.
So I'm just curious with that clip, what material was that fake wall made of, if you know, and how much force did you actually have to use to punch through it?
It wasn't as much force as what I expected because I didn't know what the material was, but I think it was some sort of foam. It wasn't EVA foam because it literally shattered. It was probably some. Do you remember the Oasis blocks that you used to put water in? And yeah, it almost felt like it was that. But they cut the hole. They put this patch in, and then they rendered the other side so that literally the whole panel would just break away. But again, because it was the last shot of the day, everyone was so busy to actually properly inform me over how much force or where she's going to be standing or anything. But phew, it all went fine. Yes.
What was it like working with Satya?
It was fantastic. I didn't really talk to him a lot because I think he was in character quite a lot, and a lot of the time as well, you basically you don't talk unless you're spoken to, kind of thing. Because the thing is they could have had a script rewrite and they had to learn a load of lines, or they're thinking about their character. But Sasha's great. He's generally quite quiet as well. He's very opposite to his character of the master. But yeah, no, he's totally lovely.
Jon, I have a question for you. No,
Oh,
behind you, buddy.
a hand went up there.
Oh, let's
and
do
I
that.
was like, oh, is he of interest?
Bruce can go ahead. No, Bruce, go ahead.
You're making me work for my money, aren't you?
No freaking. Well, Sylvester got his steps in this way.
Getting your exercise in. Can you put your own Cyberman helmet on, or does somebody else have to do it for you?
Yeah, someone has to do it for me. More importantly, I can't take my own helmet off. So the original Cybermen, like in that picture there were little briefcase, the briefcase silver clips, and they had to put a pin in to release it. These ones had like a twisty thing either side, but again, you couldn't do it yourself, and a lot of the time they struggled themselves. So yeah, once you're in, you're in. Yeah.
Do you need a visual aid?
Here we go. Oh, look at this. Ooh, a 3D printed Cyberman helmet. And for those people at home, if that camera works. Yeah, so the little, in fact, it's actually on the back section. But, oh, that's, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, in fact, the section that I'm talking about is basically where you've got your little support trees. But yeah, so literally it was just like a tiny little pin that would then release it, albeit my helmet, I think the latch malfunctioned quite a lot, so they'll be there for ages. And I'm like, please get me out of this. Yes, down the front. I'll get to you, Ben.
Yay.
So I noticed that in one of the other things that you had going on up here, that you had a tray of food to eat. And I got to tell you, in some of those costumes, I don't know that I'd be interested in eating fish pie.
No. It's one of those things, when we're filming on location, all the food is free. And when you got free food, you go, oh, well, I want to eat as much as possible. However, obviously, being in those costumes, it is kind of tricky. And also as well, I guess I'm not getting any younger. So every time, especially with the Cybermen, I have to kind of go on a crash diet. And then when we did Ascension of the Cybermen on the very last day of filming, we went for our lunch break, and I basically cut myself 3 giant pieces of cake and just scoffed it. It must have been about 2,000 calories. And I'm like, you know what? This ain't going to affect anything until tomorrow. Yes,
Okay,
Ben.
so here's my question for you. When you're playing a Dalek or a Cyberman or an Ood, do you have to go through a training on how to understand the character?
Yes. So I'll come back up on stage. I thank you. So the choreographer for Doctor Who, a lovely lady called Elsa Burke, she trained us to do the movements for the Cybermen, the Jadoon, the Ood, the Hath, many more. So, and also a lot of it was more for her because she would read the script, get an idea of the character and then the movement. Then we would rehearse without the costume. And then when we put the costume on, little tweaks were made. So for example, the original idea for when the Series 2 Cybermen would raise their guns is that we would hold our arms like this. But then when we put the costume on, it physically wasn't possible to do that with the arm. So it then, I think, changed to either that or we put the fist on the chest. This. So there's a few little tweaks that went on. I then also totally fanboyed out when I found out that Elsa Burke was in Return of the Jedi. She was in Jabba's palace.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was a character called a Manaman that was guarding Han in Carbonite. She was also in Tarzan Legend of Greystoke. So she played Tarzan's mother, the chimpanzee mother. So it is amazing because she's this tiny, tiny little lady. And then when she's doing all of the movement exercises, she physically looks like all the characters that we're playing, but she's tiny and petite.
And I asked you this earlier in the dealership, but I'll ask it for the audience. How do they identify you guys? Like, are you if you're a Cyberman, will Cyberman 1 go over here and then Cyberman 2 go over there? How do they do that to wrangle you all?
Well, we kind of learned quite quickly to wrangle ourselves because during season 2, there was like 12 of us all dressed as Cybermen, and unfortunately, some of the crew didn't realize that we weren't props and would be having a conversation behind us saying, oh, can you go over there? And we're like, are you talking to me? So a lot of the time, we would get the assistant director to basically shout and just say, John, and then you'd put your hand up. We did have a bit of a fun moment when we were doing Planet of the Ood. So there's a scene where they open a shipping container and there's a whole bunch of Oods all lined up in the shipping container, which was only 12 of us, but they basically kind of replicated us back. And the first assistant director, Susie Leggett, she was basically calling us out by name. And one of the guys that was doing it, Claudio, she said, where's Claudio? And he says, I'm Claudio. And then you heard, no, I'm Claudio. No, I'm Claudio. So yeah, that was quite a good, fun little moment.
Neat. Does anyone else have any questions for John?
Chance of getting Jodie back on the screen?
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask.
That's really kind of up to the producers, I suppose.
Yes, but who knows, because all of the previous Doctors have come back on screen at some point.
She should have been on for at least 2 more seasons.
You got to go out with a bang, I guess.
Exactly. Hey, I wanted to ask, so I thought of another question to ask you. How do you get cast as a Doctor Who monster?
Well, it was by accident, strangely enough. I didn't know it was what it was when I went for this audition. There is a video of it on the Doctor Who Confidential. I don't know if it's in the box set. There is a YouTube thing. If you put Doctor Who Confidential Cybermen, there is that up on YouTube. But it was an open casting in the old BBC studios. 50 guys turned up. I pretty much knew half of them anyway. And we spent a day with Elsa, the choreographer, marching up and down, walking around with our eyes closed, doing lots of strange movement exercises. And we were then told that this was an audition to be the Cybermen, which was pretty fantastic. So So I waited for the phone call, then went to Millennium FX, tried the suit on, and then got the call, and that was it. And we did those 4 episodes. Little did I know that I would then end up in 50.
And Natasha, do we have an online question?
We do have an online question. It is, what was the weirdest monster to play and why?
Weirdest? Well, all the monsters are kind of weird. I'd say one of the weirdest things that I did was technically not in Doctor Who, it was in Class. So the first episode of Class, there's a shadowkin that arrives in the bedroom, and I was that shadowkin, but it was a wispy ghost of a shadowkin. So I was in a green morph suit with 2 swords, stood on like a stage riser, literally doing that entire scene in my green morph suit. And then obviously they put CGI over the top of it. So that was probably the weirdest thing that I did. The Headless Cyberman was kind of pretty cool and weird as well. They had a one-armed actor that did the entire scene with the head on, but the reveal of the Headless Cyberman was me with a green hood on and a green arm.
You don't have to answer this question if you don't know the answer. Will you be in the next series as a monster?
I hope so.
They haven't contacted you or anything?
I hope so. Well, I think they've only just started.
Oh yeah,
filming.
that is true. That is
yeah,
true.
they literally only just started filming.
But would you want to work on the series with Shooty and?
Yeah, I want to work again. It would be nice. Yes. Any
other questions?
Oh. Woo!
Wow! Watch how that man flies.
Okay, first of all, that's really impressive. Secondly, when you were doing the audition for the Cybermen, did all of the people who were auditioning kind of have the same sort of body shape and type? Is that part of what they were looking for?
Yeah. Ooh. Sorry. Yes and no. So the call went out, and it was, specific heights. Most of us were all fairly similar heights and builds. There were a few people that, to be fair, were probably built too big, quite muscly. So the thing is that what you don't want the costumes looking like is big and bulky. So the thinner you can get someone on the inside, the smaller you can actually make the costume. So for kind of 18 years, I've been going through kind of like a atrophy diet, like yo-yo. Every time I get the call for Doctor Who, it's like, right, I've got to stop eating cake and bread, which
That's
I'm
the
still
worst.
trying not to do now.
And isn't that the worst though? Stop eating cake and bread because you got to play a Cyberman.
Oh, I know. Oh,
One day
what
they'll
a
figure something
problem.
out. We have another online question.
This question is related. Is there a Doctor Who monster you have not yet played that you'd really like to?
Ah, that's interesting. So for the last 10 years or so, every time somebody asked me that, I would say, oh, the Sea Devils, blah, blah, blah. They're fantastic, iconic, coming out of the water. However, we filmed the Sea Devils episode. Then I went to a convention before it was aired or announced the Sea Devils were coming back. And then somebody asked me exactly the same question. And I'm like, I can't say Sea Devils because it's too close to the bone. So I kind of went, a giant maggot, maybe. Maybe the Raston Warrior.
Could we see you as a Sontaran at some point, do you think?
I'm too tall for the new
Area.
Mind you, I have got a bit of a potato head anyway, so.
Hey, Natasha, did we have another online question?
It wouldn't need a lot of
thank
makeup. Hello.
Tight acting as Cyberman?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Were you tired acting as Cyberman?
Sorry, someone was coughing. Was it tiring? Oh, that's a good question. It can be. Yeah, it can be very hot. Normally the days are about 12 hours. So, and when we did the Whispermen, we had to be there at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And then we didn't get out until 8 o'clock at night. So that, and then we did 5 days in a row of that. So yeah, it was very tiring. So whenever we're not actually doing anything, if we can, and if we don't get told off, we try and sleep as much as possible. Oh, there's some more hands. I'm getting torn.
And we can do about 2 more because we got to wrap up here in 3 minutes.
With the likelihood of a perhaps musical episode coming up and your background in music and music video, do you dance and do you think you might get a part in?
Oh, this is all news to me about a musical episode. Oh, is it more rumors? Yes. I'm. Well, I don't have much dancing ability, unfortunately. I could maybe be taught some very, very basic moves, but it would be great, but I'll have to have a crash course in dancing. Right.
We got time for one more. Eleanor?
Oh, there's hands all over the place. Right. Speed questions and answers.
Could you breathe inside the Whisperman, like, mask?
Yes. We could breathe through our mouth because our mouth was open. It was a stocking pulled over our head and glued to our lips.
Okay, that's another question that I have about the Whisperman. If your mouth is open for 12 hours, how do you keep your mouth from just turning into the Sahara Desert?
We didn't. It was, yeah, a stocking glued to our lips, and literally you couldn't breathe through your nose either. And yeah, try just having your mouth open and breathing through your mouth for 12 hours. We just had water with a straw. Yeah. I think that was the least of our worries, because everything else, your nose was being squished, you're boiling hot, you were blind. It was just a full-on exciting day, put it that way. You know what? That's the one thing, because literally I was this distance away from Richard E. Grant, but I couldn't see a thing. So it wasn't a case that I could go, "Hi, Richard," or look at him to see if I got eye contact, that he was receptive. So I'm kind of stood next to him all day, and there's like no communication. It was, yeah, it was a shame, because I love Richard E. Grant. He's
hilarious.
He's amazing. But it was kind of like one of those things. The thing is, if you go to speak to someone, you can look at someone and you can just read their facial expressions. But it was like, I don't want to turn around and go like, "Hi, Richard, how you doing?"
Well, Jon, this has been great. Thank you. Let's give it up for Jon Davey.
Thank you very much. Thank you.